Hi guys, welcome to another Gold Lap Guide. This time we take on Autopolis with the Toyota Supra GR4 in the latest online lap time challenge. I've currently got a gold time, so I'll show you what I did to achieve that. Now, having never driven this car before, I'm actually surprised how good it actually is, but it's a bit sketchy on throttle and this circuit is all action, so make sure you stick around to the end. I'm sure you'll pick up a few helpful tips. So starting the lap, we'll touch on the last corner at the very end. Now get yourself over to the left hand side to open this first corner up. Now the first braking point I like to use for this one is just where this orange bit of barrier is on the left hand side, just after the 100 metre marker, and I'm going to brake down to third gear. Now you've got to be a bit wary of this corner. It is slightly off camber, so be careful on the exit. Very easy to run off wide. So I'm hard on the brakes, down to third gear. I'm going to trail in nicely, click the inside of that curb, back on the power as early as you can. If you notice I'm at 60, 70, 80% power before I put it fully down, you will lose it if you just smash the power down to 100% if you're not using traction control. Next corner, again, braking point I like to use for this one is just around where this orange bit of barrier is on the left hand side, or the concrete or the tarmac strip just after it there. Really easy to see, and again I'm going down to third gear here. So we're hard on the brakes, down to third gear, get plenty of this curb on the way in, trailing the brakes into this corner, back on the throttle as early as you possibly can. Try not to go too wide, stay in the middle of the circuit if you can. Now we're off the throttle for this bit, take the corner there. So you get into the middle of the circuit here, back on the throttle again, hard turn into the left hand side. Should be able to put the throttle pretty much all the way down. Up to the next braking point, just where this curbing is on the right hand side, just before it finishes, you're going to be braking down into second gear. So again, hard on the brakes, down to second gear. And with a heavy trail brake into this corner, just try and get the car rotated as best we can. As soon as you feel comfortable, get back on that throttle, 70-75%, managing that wheel spin with the turning, and away we go. Very easy to get it wrong though, so be careful. Next section, we're going to do this slowly. So I'm in here in fourth gear, off the throttle, dab of the brakes, just try and keep the car in. And a good marker I like to use is this marshal post, where the red arrow is. When the car is pointing to the left of that, that's usually a good sign for me to be able to put the throttle down. Now you might have to experiment with this, but it works for me. As long as you're getting the car into the apex, you're okay. Back on the throttle full now, use all that circuit on the right hand side, and away we go. So into the section where it's so easy to lose time. Next braking point I like to use, this middle arrow marker, the second one along, somewhere around that or just after that, I'm going to brake down into second gear. And the trick with this corner really is getting on the throttle as early as you possibly dare. Again, it's slightly off camber this one, be really careful. So hard on the brakes, down to second gear. I don't get too tight to the curb on this. I'm on the throttle though as early as I possibly can. You're managing that wheel spin, 75-80% throttle, managing the wheel spin. Use all the circuit and away we go. Just about get away with that one. So this next section is all action. Braking point for this next bit, foam mast or a telegraph pole, whatever that is on the right hand side. I like to use that, and I'll go down to fourth gear. So we're going to try and take as much speed through this as we possibly can without falling off the circuit. So what I do is about 70% brake, trail it off, take a bit more curb than I do if you can. Just slightly puts me slightly wide, but I get away with it. And we're going to go down to third gear. We're going to do this nice and slow. Third gear, just manage the throttle around here. Just try and keep it nice and tight. You don't want to go too wide. I'm at 50-70% throttle, back to 100% now. Up to fourth gear. A slight lift as you go through this bit, otherwise you go wide, take plenty of curb. Next braking point, somewhere around where this red arrow is. I haven't really got a specific braking point. You've got to sort of feel this one out a little bit. So we'll be hard on the brakes initially. Down to third gear. If you take too much speed in, you'll fall off the circuit on the left hand side. So again, slightly off camber as well, you've got to be a bit careful. End up around the middle of the circuit, play with that throttle. Get the car turned into this next corner. So plenty of curb there. Plenty of curb there. It's a slight lift into this next corner. And as soon as you feel the car's turned enough, back on the throttle again. Come up towards the all-important last corner. Now I'm going to dab the brakes. 25-30%. Down to third gear. Just try and get the car to turn in a little bit. Make sure your eyes are up and forward, looking for that orange bit of barrier there. Once you see that, you should be able to get back on the throttle. And away we go. Back to full throttle now. Take plenty of curb on the left hand side. Try and straighten this a little bit out. Try and take as much speed through there as possible. And going across the line for a 1 minute 54.356, which is good enough for 1.2% and 111th in the world. Now in this video guys, I've briefly mentioned about having your vision up and forward. If you want to find out more about what that is and how you can develop that skill, then click this video right here. Thank you very much for your time guys, really appreciate it. Take care, I will see you next week. Cheers.